You don't need to be a Grandmaster to appreciate the beauty of this game I want to show you. In fact, it starts with the opening even kids play. This is Polish fighter Jan Krzysztof Duda versus Armenian legend Levon Aronian, who now plays for USA. They clashed on May 10, 2025 in Superbet chess classic tournament in Romania. Duda started with e4, and after 3 common opening moves we have 2 knights opening. But already on move 4, Duda plays a variation that you expect from a school tournament, not 2700 level. Knight g5. The threat is clear. White wants to grab a pawn on f7 and make a fork. Here's a little theory knowledge is needed. Do you know the best move for black in this position? By the way, click that subscribe button, it means a lot and keeps those videos going. Back to the game. I'm sure you got it. The best move is d5. Pretty much the only good move here, blocking the bishop. Duda takes the pawn, and here again black need to know the next move. Knight a5. I'm sure Aronian knew this move since he was 5. If he took the pawn on d5, he would run into a fried liver attack, starting with knight sacrifice, knight takes f7. And there are thousands of videos on that idea on YouTube. Now, White's bishop is under attack and Duda checks the opposing king with bishop b5 check. Now you can defend with bishop d7, but c6 is more popular. Exchange of the pawns on c6, and now white bishop is under attack and has to retreat. But no, queen f3, leaving the bishop unprotected. Well, if pawn takes the bishop, white queen will take the rook. Rook is more valuable. Aronian pays no attention to any of this and just develops his dark square bishop ready to castle. Now Duda retrieves with bishop d3. This move looks ugly, right? I bet when Duda was a kid, his coach told him not to put the bishop in front of the pawn, because now d2 pawn cannot move and sad-looking bishop on c1 is stuck. But modern engines revolutionized chess, and now bishop d3 is a fine move, as long as you have a plan. And normally the plan is to play c3, slide back to c2, then d3 or d4 and develop the dark square bishop. Aronian castles and Duda plays knight c3. He seems not to care about his dark square bishop at all. h6 not only creates an escape square for the king, but also telling the knight he is not welcome here. Duda repositions the knight to an even better square, e4. Aronian also centralizes his knight, and here is a subtle threat here. Can you spot it? Well, if white is not careful, they are going to lose a piece. For example, if they castle, black plays f5, knight goes away, and e4, forking the bishop and the queen. Therefore, computer engine is very happy with Duda's knight move to g3. But Aronian is playing for a win. Knight b4. He is ready to capture white's bishop and double Duda's pawns, and you know, double pawns is bad news. Duda plays knight f5 with a purpose. Knight takes d3, check, queen takes d3, and now it makes total sense to take the queen and double white pawns, but that would be a huge mistake. Can you see why? Yes. Intermediate move, knight takes e7 with the check, and only then take a queen, and we'll have an extra piece. So Aronian plays c5, and now Duda exchanges the queens. Very important to take with the bishop, as it was under attack. With all this, we almost forgot the knight on f5 was under attack, so Duda moves it back. Why is computer engine not happy? He wanted the knight to get more active on d6. Aronian plays f5, pawn store, b3, move 17, and finally Duda's dark square bishop has a chance to get into the game. Rooks on a1 and h1 are jealous, they want to play too. But Aronian doesn't provide a breather. f4 telling Duda you have to move your knight. Duda obliged and reluctantly put his knight on d1. And look at those white pieces, sad looking picture. Aronian remembers he has a knight who has not moved for the last 14 moves, and he sends him to d4. Congratulations to white bishop, he is finally in the game, and with the mission. Pawn on c5 is hanging. Aronian continues with his plan, plants a knight on d4, and will be so happy to take a pawn on c2 and fork the king and the rook. Rook c1, all defense. Rook f6, the rook is heading to a g file to attack a pawn. The best move for white here is the move that you would probably make. Bishop takes c5. But Duda overcomplicates things. Plays knight b2. Aronian is on a mission. Rook g6. Hello, g2 pawn. King f1, protecting the pawn. Ugly looking move, but the best in this position. If white castled, they would collapse after bishop b7. f3, just a beautiful touch. If pawn takes, it lights out. Black wins with bishop h3 check, bishop g2, and knight f3 fork. Let's go back. g3. Light squares are like Swiss cheese holes. Aronian activates a bishop, and he is looking at a c2 pawn together with the knight. Now Duda takes on c5, and Aronian takes the pawn on c2. Computer does not approve. He would prefer activating a rook. Duda plays a4, and now Aronian moves his rook to a half-open c-file, and sacrifices another pawn. Now he plays without two pawns, but he is much better. Why? All his pieces are fabulously positioned. Well, maybe except for dark square bishop, but he solves that problem with bishop a5. By the way, I would appreciate if you like and subscribe here. Knight c4 makes sense. The target is clear. Exchange of the minor pieces and rook a6. Double attack of the bishop and the pawn. Bishop is more important, and it retreats and Aronian takes the pawn. Duda's king is fleeing the battlefield, and in the meantime Aronian redirects his bishop. Best move in this position for white is bishop b6. That's Grandmaster level. Let's not even go there. Rook c6, precise response. Bishop a7, blunder? No. If rook takes a7, then rook takes c2, and the worst for white is in the rear end mirror. Aronian takes the knight on c4, and according to the almighty engine, loses all his advantage. But after pawn takes rook, Duda is not careful with bishop b8. e4. Aronian is marching forward. Bishop f4, rook takes c3, king h2, but it's too late. e3. White position collapses. If pawn takes, knight g1 check. Yes, from this rook, and black wins a rook. g4. But it does not help. e2 plays Aronian, one square away from becoming a queen. King g3, rook d3, Aronian remains calm. h5, a shot nowhere. King h7, safety first. Rook g1, and here you can see if you can find a brilliant last touch for black. Hope you found it. Rook a1, sacrificing of the rook, brilliant move, and Duda just resign. If he takes the rook, knight takes rook, and a typical idea, rook d1, and the pawn becomes a queen with the next move. You can still try bishop d2, but then rook takes rook. Aronian played this game with 94% accuracy, but all his moves made sense, and hopefully breaking it down together helped those ideas come alive.